Ladies and gentlemen, DJ Hapa.
All right, let's talk about Hapa for a second. Hey, Hapa, grab a mic for a second. I want to talk to you. So, tell me, how did you come to be a part of the epilepsy community? Wait, get him on camera.
Hold on. How did I come to be a part of the epilepsy community?
Yes.
I have epilepsy.
Ladies and gentlemen, DJ Hapa.
I was actually diagnosed with epilepsy when I had my first seizure when I was 17.
So up until 17, nothing.
Nothing.
Wow. And
I actually thought I was on top of the world. I was like invincible. What I thought. And I think God was a way of saying, hey, wait now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guess what, buddy? You're not.
Yeah, I would be pretty out of control if it weren't for epilepsy. So thank God for epilepsy in my case.
There you go. There you go.
For the rest of you too.
So for those of you, I mean, most of you know, but DJ Hapa, or Hapa, is one of the most successful DJs out there. He's got DJ school, teaches tons of people how to, spin, and they've had successful careers because of you and your school and everything. But you're an example to Jake, an inspiration to people out there. Honestly, like, you work in the clubs. Jake gets tired at night. Seizures can come on when you're, tired. You're in the clubs where there's flashing lights and you're exhausted. How do you do it?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I was diagnosed with epilepsy when I was 17. I had just been accepted to UCLA on a full scholarship, on a full academic scholarship, and I then that was my senior year of high school, and so I was like in coast mode. I believe this was like March or April of my senior year, and all of a sudden I end up on the floor one night, and I have no idea how it all happened. The next night, same thing. And I thought it was just maybe I was having bad dreams, or I didn't even really know what it was. And then the second night, I remember waking up and being inside the ambulance and being rushed to the emergency room. And then, doctors running a bunch of tests and putting me on a bunch of medication. And at that time, my life was just completely flipped upside down. Like, I was worried about where me and my friends would hang out on Thursday and what parties we would go to on Thursday for our senior year. And now all of a sudden I'm like practically a vegetable for, at least 16 hours, 18 hours out of the day.
Wow.
But what is really crazy, for me, I have grand mal seizures, and they only happen at night when I'm sleeping. So it's really, I don't know if this is such a great thing, but like what ended up happening was psychologically, I think I didn't want to sleep.
Yeah.
And so I ended up just sort of working and continuing to work. And I started my own business when I was in college in '99. We started an online record store, which at the time, this was like the infant stages of eBay.
Right.
And we started selling vinyl records online, which then turned into like distribution and all sorts of other avenues in the music industry. And that's how I really got into it. And then I was just working. I was working like, it was an insane amount of like time that I was working. I had a 40-hour job doing advertising at an ad firm, and then we were running our business that was taking up about another 40 hours, and then I was a full-time student in school, and it was insane.
So you weren't sleeping hardly at all.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like, I don't necessarily recommend all of that. I think I learned by doing and making certain missteps, and then sort of learning like, okay, I've pushed myself too far, but then at least I knew where that line was.
Yeah.
And I think, I actually think that that's a pretty important thing that I learned, and that I try to encourage people to do, is to try and find that line. I mean, don't do it to a point where it's dangerous, but at the same time, like, you got to live your life. Like, for me, that was one of the hardest things to really do was, I was in college. It was very, very early on in, like, the treatment of my seizures. I was having seizures once a week easily, like grand mal seizures that would put me out. And so what started as, like, in high school, I graduated high school with a 4.25 GPA from high school. And,
Wow.
thank you.
Come on
but then I got to, so then my freshman year of college, I'm like getting D's and F's, and I'm like not even been able to complete courses because I was having seizures, and then it would like interrupt the sort of learning process, and then I'd miss a whole bunch of classes and whatnot. So it was just tough, but I think like through doing that, like I found what you had said earlier, like I found my first doctor, I don't want to put anybody down, but my first doctor was not good for me. It just wasn't a right fit. That doctor told me that really what I should be doing, he told me that I shouldn't leave San Francisco, which is where I'm from, to go to school at UCLA, and said somebody with my condition in the state that it was should probably just even rethink college altogether.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I'm glad I was young and like reckless and was just like, screw that, I'm going. And I still to this day, like, I'm very thankful that my parents supported my decision to do so. Yeah. And then, you know, I mean, look, one thing led to another. I found a doctor who was amazing. She really understood where I was at in my life and how to,
but that's what I was talking about before.
Yeah.
It's like, just keep pushing.
You have to.
Don't be satisfied, you know, with anything less than extraordinary, because you can get there. Find the right medication, find the right doctor. And by the way, doctors share information in this, you know, in the community, the epilepsy community. Second opinion is more than welcome. I mean, you know, these doctors help each other, so don't be afraid to get a second opinion.
And this was really important. The talk about it was really important because for about 10 years, I didn't let anybody know except for like maybe somebody I was dating or like a really close friend that I had epilepsy. Like there was nobody else that I really told about that. I didn't want that to be public information. And actually the way that I found the epilepsy community, the actual community that exists there, was my publicist at the time. We were at lunch, and he said, and he knew, because the sort of people in my inner circle had to know. And so he knew, and he said at lunch one day, he was like, you know, you really should talk about epilepsy. You really should talk about this condition that you have, because you have a story that's fairly unique and that could help somebody at some point. And I was like, no. Nobody really wants to hear my story, and I don't know how comfortable I am talking about my story.
Right.
Man, we were at that lunch, and as I said that, he turned to me and he said, you know I'm bipolar, right?
Wow.
And I was like, what? I was like, you don't look like you're bipolar. That was just my knee-jerk reaction. It was like, you don't look like you're bipolar. And he's like, you don't look like you have epilepsy. And I was like, all right, you got me. And then from that day on, like, we made a call and got involved with the folks over at all of the epilepsy foundations at the time, like, and all of the organizations. And I'm just so glad that everything is, like, really over the years, man, it's all really started to really come together. And that's really happy. That makes me really happy to see, like, your organization that you started with Talk About It, and the Epilepsy Foundation and the Epilepsy Therapy Project all sort of come together and be all under one roof. Because that's big. That was a big challenge. That was a big challenge for so many years, was like the fragmentation. And I think now that everybody is together under one roof and pushing in one direction, like, I can't emphasize how important that is. And I think, like, I don't know, man, I really feel good about what's to come, like, for sure.
Me too.